This is a film study review of the Ravens defense and their 44-10 loss to the Texans. Obviously, it's going to be quite negative. Just to be forewarned, we'll talk about some of the leverage problems that the Ravens are having, inability to identify formations and or situations slash patterns that are consistently giving us problems. We're going to get the film started quickly, and I'll give you some summary thoughts here at the end. It kind of encompasses what we've been seeing lately, regardless of who's on the field. So first play of the game, actually quite positive for the Ravens, and I like the look, to be honest with you, meaning one high safety structure, bringing Lowry down. He happens to be to the boundary, away from the two tight end side. It's a 12 personnel grouping, Run concept with Chubb to the weak side. Lowry's obviously getting blocked by the front side guard, but it means that Simpson is clear, number one. And number two, I think it's John Jenkins who's winning his matchup against the center. Kind of like this one, almost a canted nose technique. I like the look. At least we're trying to take away something with creating a pseudo 4-3 look. We've rolled the nickel up to the field side. We've dedicated a nickel platform or nickel response against a jumbo 12 personnel set. And you can see what I mean by Jenkins. He is getting reached, but at least he's pushing the center back into the backfield. And then the Texans, are asking the right guard, or left guard, and tackle to combo Travis Jones, and then the backside guard to work up to Simpson. Just no way that you can get this done with the alignment that we have. So nice alignment for Simpson being in the field side A-gap as the will linebacker, but then getting to the run concept. You'd like to see his head possibly get even or at least in front. It's some of the worst camera work I have seen in years from the NFL. Every week I'm perplexed at the quality or lack thereof with what they're giving us when we get this film. But in any case, 2nd and 7, right hash for the offense. Very next play, it's 11 personnel, and we're in a too high safety structure, just too much space on this play action concept. It's on the backside. I think it's Nico Collins. The window's going to be there regardless of where the nickel is. So we're talking about Keon Martin right here. The window for this throw is going to be available, I think, but just, rolled up too far for a run concept away from us. The only thing I can think is that, he's man on this receiver that motioned across, and so he's thinking, okay, I've got to step up for the possibility of the tight end in the flats or a boot or something. There just seems to be way too much space afforded. It's Nico Collins up to the top side of the screen against TJ Tampa. I can't blame Tampa for being wary of getting beat deep, but it's regardless of who the corners are on the field, whether it's Marlon Humphrey. Awuzie, I thought, was playing well before going out last week. Of course, he did give up the touchdown to Worthy when he kind of got bullied a little bit. But to me, it seems like when a play should be a medium gain, a 10, 12-yard gain, it's 18 or 20. When a play should be a 6 or 7-yard gain, it's 10 or 12. There seems to be an addition effect, a multiplier effect, if you will, even though it's the wrong mathematical operation when you're throwing the ball against the Ravens. Still on the first possession, 2nd and 10, too high safety structure, and this one annoys me to no end. There's a lot wrong here, in my opinion. I'll probably let this stand alone or edit this as a standalone critique of the Ravens defense. I posted something on Twitter first thing this morning. So the Lions did a lot of this against us. 2nd and 10, and then run the football against our too high safety platform. It is a missed tackle. I think it's by Jenkins here. It's against Nick Chubb. But our inability to recognize that it's a jumbo tight end, 2nd and 10, let's stop the run if they do run the football. But watch Lowry. And this is not just Lowry. Kyle Hamilton does this also as the left side safety. There's a run read here. We're just pre-snap moving. Look at both of our safeties backing up. All of this is run reads, all of this. So this is predetermined where we're going to drop, absent any reads. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like I said, we've definitely got a missed tackle in here, but Simpson flows over the top, crosses the midline to a side. The only thing I can think is that Lowry should be there, but how can Lowry be assigned to this gap here if we see him pre-moving? Basically, he's not reading a run block, meaning you should be reading the M-man on line scrimmage and or, this C-gap. How does this work out? Whatever the read is, however you want to teach it, I really don't freaking care. At this point, how can you say that this is Simpson's fault and or Lowry's fault, given how those guys are reacting? Simpson is crossing the midline, getting over the top, basically blocking himself here. To me, this looks like Lowry should be responsible for this gap. out of 11 personnel group, you're down a gap basically. The way that this looks, you can see the 6-man front by the Ravens, but everybody does this. This is what you want to try to do to stay in a too high safety structure. But dating back to week 3 against the Lions, we've consistently been getting beat here and or on duo stuff. You recall all of the 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9 run plays that the Lions put on our defense against our nickel front. This is consistent. This is not something that I think one player should be talked about. Simpson, Buchanan, Hamilton, Lowry. There's not miscommunication. These guys are not aligned. Miscommunication is a BS word or phrase that has been thrown around too often with this Ravens defense. We're doing things that are not sound against the formations that we're facing. And that formation, 11 personnel, jumbo tight end set, down here on 2nd and 10 consistently has been giving us problems in 2025. And then when we finally do roll the safety up, we're talking about 2 or 3 plays later on that first possession. So this is the same exact formation. The tight end, the jumbo tight end happens to be up here to the boundary. We will walk the safety up. This time it's Starks. Starks and Buchanan, I mean, I guess Buchanan had the green dot, but Starks is messing with his helmet multiple times. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. To be honest with you, I don't pay attention to that discussion generally. But both of those guys pre-snap Buchanan's messing with his mouthpiece all the time. Presumably he's trying to communicate to the guys on defense, get them in the right look. And then Starks is messing with his helmet multiple times. But in any case, we're looking in at the quarterback. This is Tampa. And it's fine to look at the quarterback sometimes, right? It's going to make things like this available. Same formation as what we just showed, the run concept on 2nd and 10. This time it's a stop route, and C.J. Stroud, little play action, immediately getting the ball out here. I believe that's Hutchinson, who looked pretty good. I think he ended up with 2 touchdowns on the day. Tampa, it's a short gain, don't get me wrong. Tampa, a little bit late getting there. You do different stuff depending on alignment. There are certainly times to look at the quarterback. I feel like we have consistently in 2024 and 2025 been able to watch our guys play defense and say, okay, yes, we want to look at the quarterback sometimes, especially in zone, but we're really giving up space on routes that we could cover better if our eyes were on number 1 initially. All right, still first possession. This is a 3rd and 2, and the tight end's going to slip out into the flats late. Here's our 2 safety structure. Lowry is oftentimes pre-snap looking to someone to the inside, either Starks or Buchanan, to try to get some communication, probably just trying to figure out, okay, where do I get lined up? Because, I recognize we have a lot of rookies on the field. But I would say what we saw yesterday against the Texans is in line with our defensive performance so far this year. Granted, yes, last week it was against the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't come in scoring a whole lot of points. Obviously, neither did the Houston Texans until they faced us. Kind of like this 5-1, 5-2 look, if you will, meaning Simpson is walked up on the line of scrimmage. Buchanan is a solo inside linebacker, but we've placed Lowry there as well. So if we wanted to count Lowry, then it's a 5-2 look. Play action, not really an RPO read by C.J. Stroud, in my opinion. And it's going to create a 2-on-1 for Simpson up to the top side. In the NFL, for me, this is outflanked. At lower levels of football, you get outflanked or outformationed, meaning the other team lines up in a way that you don't match. This is a 2-on-1. So the 2-on-1 here is, Stroud could easily run out into the flats if Simpson goes with the tight end, or the tight end, in this case, gets the easy completion out into the flats. This is very similar for me to what happened to Teddy Buchanan last week. Meaning we got outflanked, by Patrick Mahomes in a critical 3rd down situation, and here it is again. I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about, and it's frustrating to me. The tight end's going to motion across. We've got Lowry rolled up to the field. Fine, that's where he belongs from a formation standpoint. But when they motion across, something has to happen to deal with this outside edge. And so Oweh has stepped down. We're getting nothing from Oweh this year, in my opinion. Oweh has stepped down. Buchanan is coming downhill to deal with the run threat. It's 3rd and 2, so we want to try to stop the run. But watch how Oweh is lined up to the inside. And what that means is, especially given his lack of flexibility and he can't redirect at all in 2025, he looks more stiff than even I remember it. And so as a result, he's in no position to go help out on Stroud. Simpson appears to recognize it, passes the tight end off to nobody. Blame it on Simpson if you want. It doesn't really matter. If Simpson turns his back and runs with this tight end, and therefore, Stroud can't throw the football to him, Stroud's going to run out to the sideline. Oweh will be in chase, and it's going to be a 3-yard gain, and we're going to have to line up on 1st and 10 on the very next play. Everything is wrong. Hence the title of the video. It's too easy to put us in conflict. Again, for me, that play is very similar to the 3rd down last week that I talked about ad nauseum, and I'll link up in the description here. I did a standalone video on it. EA and I covered it on Inside the Coverage, and to me, it's of the same flavor as the one that we just talked about. Moving onward or downhill, actually, second possession, the Texans are up 7-3. We were able to scratch together a field goal on our first drive, and so we've kind of rolled the safety down into the boundary. There's Starks to the top side. Again, I tried to highlight the safeties as much as I could pre-snap just to show that the differences in our alignment. I feel like this group needs simplicity, no matter who's on the field, rookies, veterans, or what. It's a cover 3 sky, so I'm calling sky how Lowry is moving down into the flats, and they're putting us in conflict. Right? You've got this kind of corner route by Nico Collins, and then the tight end settling in the flats. He's reading Lowry. It's too easy. There's just too much separation. Nothing is really taken away at all by this defense. We kind of are trying to stop everything. We're definitely put in play by the scheme, put in conflict by the scheme. Don't get me wrong. So it's a good play from a Texans perspective. I just feel like I wish that we were a little bit more connected to receivers at times, whether we're looking at the quarterback, whether we're looking at the routes, what have you. We seem to have very little awareness of the receivers and the route delineations at all, and be staring at the quarterback so much that we really end up defending nothing. They flipped the field here because we're into the second quarter. Ball's on the right hash out of 11 personnel group. Now, this is an incomplete pass, but I think this is indicative of what I'm talking about. Now, it's a 5-1 look with Buchanan. He's the solo inside linebacker right here. And so I find we're going with different looks against 11 personnel. I think we're supposed to drop Starks down here, and him and Martin just kind of drift with the routes, if you ask me. But they're all 3 deep routes. All 3 of these routes are pushing deep. So to some extent, we kind of have to match the depth in certain cases. But watch how wide open, I think it's Nick Chubb is here. C.J. Stroud is definitely looking to the field, the bottom side of our screen. I think Starks is a little too deep with this being the line to gain right there, the plus 45. Thankfully, this ball is dropped and actually a little bit late getting out by Stroud because, Nick Chubb is off and running. Yeah, we're coming downhill with Martin. I wonder if we're, a little bit too deep with those guys. It's a nice job on the top side of Wiggins, looking for work from the opposite side when he has none into the boundary with the jumbo tight end initially setting up to block. Like I said, very fortunate that this one ends up going down for a drop. It really doesn't matter because on the very next snap, we give up an incredibly disappointing conversion on a 3rd and 7. I think we've got a cover 3 buzz here. So it's a too high safety look initially, and then I believe Starks is supposed to drop. Excuse me, wrong guy. Lowry is supposed to drop down and basically create what's called cover 3 buzz with Simpson pushing out into the flats. Buchanan is mugged up on the line of scrimmage. So he's on the line of scrimmage, threatening the blitz, presumably to force some type of protection scheme and or adjustment from the Texans. And then as he drops out, he just crosses the face, or he allows the tight end to cross his face here instead of one of any number of options. He could collision number 3. Yeah, I get it. Like we're going to possibly get called for a penalty there. Keep in mind the line of scrimmage is the negative 48. And as we're approaching him, we're close. I'm not going to really argue about that shit. It's the NFL. It's a BS rule anyway, the 5-yard contact space that's afforded to receivers. But if we weren't mugged up, if we were pseudo-mugged up, we could potentially deal with that dynamic. But in any case, sit on the inside hip. That's another option instead of collisioning him. What we can't do is be so late and so slow dropping down with Lowry, and then Buchanan pushing to the outside hip. It's like we're just dropping to spots. I would say this is very similar to what Lowry did on the completion in a cover 3 earlier that I showed in the right flats to the tight end. In this case, it's 3rd and 7. Too easy over the middle to Schultz. Quality player. Stroud knows what he's doing. I think we're late with Lowry buzzing down. You kind of maybe can see Lowry's feet right there. And then Buchanan, since he's dropping out from a mug alignment, he's trying to get to his spot. So his worry, his concern is, okay, can I get to the depth that I'm assigned to in this particular coverage? Again, if you believe what I'm saying, I think it's cover 3 buzz. Simpson is really pushing the flats to create that space for Lowry to come sit down on the hook, basically the cover 3 buzz. Doesn't work out in our favor, obviously. Stroud, too easy over the middle. We've got no awareness of leverage at all in our zone structures, whether we're staring at the quarterback, whether we're just not physical enough. I don't think it's a Buchanan issue. I really don't. It's a Zach Orr issue. It's a Chuck Pagano issue. He's the guy coaching these guys. I don't think he's just a special assistant. I believe he's out on the field coaching these guys. So, I could really be wrong in that regard. And ultimately, it's a John Harbaugh issue. He's let this go on too long. We had the same stuff happen in 2024. Lack of physicality from and poor alignment from a guy like Tavius Robinson is surprising to me. This is still the second possession. It's a 1st and 10, and it's going to be a run concept, basically outside zone to the right-hand side for the Texans. And I think T-Rob does a really poor job here of stepping down and basically allowing himself to get reached. Now, he doesn't get reached by blocking scheme. Reached means the tight end stepping to his outside. I wonder if he's stepping to his outside and then controlling him. That's not what happens here. Basically, T-Rob allows himself to be reached at this point by stepping down inside of the tight end. Yeah, the tight end combo blocks him, but it's because of the steps. And then I really think this is a good run by Buchanan. If T-Rob is where he should be, which is outside leverage of the tight end, then Buchanan could potentially fit here. And then the issue becomes, okay, when the running back bounces it, now we need our nickel to get to the outside. I think it's Keon Martin, but I might be wrong. So I know we're talking about 2 rookies, Keon Martin and Buchanan. We could play this better on Sunday if we're practicing things properly during the week. That's a big moment if you ask me. I don't see where the young guys have been very different than Roquan, Hamilton, and so many others when they've been on the field. We've got one win, and it's against the Cleveland Browns, and they have one of the worst offenses in the league. Still second possession. Forgive me if this is too negative, but I'm just telling you what I think after watching the film early here Monday morning. So we've got stacked leverage. We're not giving up inside or outside leverage. I'm talking about Keon Martin here. On Christian Kirk, I think, is number 14. By the way, this is another example where, Buchanan has got his mouthpiece out. The Texans are trying to snap the ball quick. I think they're recognizing, okay, they got a rookie out there on defense who's probably calling the plays or getting everybody set up, and they're going to have trouble doing that. So this is an example of that. But what really bothers me is that Martin plays this so poorly from a leverage standpoint. It's a tight split from the right hash. So what are we going to get? Are we going to get, dual routes emanating over to that side and we're in man? Okay, fine. Then just run with the guy. We're not so sacrificed that we want to leave all of this space for him. There's no help out here. There's no help at all. I'm not saying that you should be trying to funnel this to anyone because, of course, the safety is in the middle of the field. But this is too easy. There's too much space to give up from a tight, compressed alignment, whether it's man or whatever, and Stroud's just throwing the ball out in front. Stroud's a quality NFL quarterback, man. I hate all the stuff that was said about the guy at various points in his career. This is too easy, regardless of who the quarterback is you're facing. There's the stacked alignment, even, if you will, by Martin with Christian Kirk. And then you can see that he steps to the inside, giving up all that space to the outside. Either we're just too slow or we've just got no awareness at all. I don't think the pick or the rub really impacted him at all. And another thing to mention, haven't said this yet, no pressure at all on the quarterback unless we're absolutely left unblocked. No one is getting there at all. Too much space, in my opinion, out here in the flats, to the field, to the wide side of the field for the Texans to take advantage of, and they get another first down. There's no help out there to the outside. I feel like he needed to be outside leverage on that, and if Kirk is going to run a seam or up the middle of the field, the safety is there to help. If he's going to run across the field, then we got to use our long speed to chase him all the way across the field into the boundary. We cannot give up that much space to the field, in my opinion. Very poor awareness, but that's been exhibited all season long through 5 games, no matter who's on the field. Third possession now after they've already made it 10-3. We somehow held them to a field goal there. And it's a play-action boot where there's, just a lot of things going wrong. So Starks is stepping down, and he'll have a receiver. It's actually the tight end, Schultz, run within, less than a yard of him. We're talking about here. And then in addition, Tampa at the bottom side of the screen is going to have his eyes in the backfield. as Stroud boots. Now, why am I mentioning that again? Green can't get there in time to impact the throw. If we were able to shut off some of the space down here, then maybe that would give Green an opportunity. Having said all that, Starks lets the tight end run right by him right here, and you'll see the end zone angle to kind of confirm what I'm saying. We are so slow to react because for the second year in a row, NFL DBs, safeties, everyone is staring in the backfield, not identifying routes at all. And we're getting taken advantage of. I feel like I'm saying the same things that I said last year. Now, it's only a 6-yard gain. I get it. People could say, well, you give up that route into the flats. You want to take away the deeper concept to the tight end. Well, if we bang the crap out of the tight end at some point during this route, then he's not able to get vertical and threaten us as part of this concept. Basically, if you want to call this a high-low concept, go right ahead. My point is we're not physical at all. We stare in the backfield, very undisciplined. And again, the 5th or 6th time I said this in this video, no matter who's on the field, in my opinion. Buchanan, move that out of the way. You can see getting his mouthpiece in late. They've gone hurry up. So credit the Texans for doing that. He's trying to get us in the right look. I didn't feel like Buchanan was put in position to succeed in that role, but I don't know who the heck else it would have been. It's a play-action concept, with Chubb going to the weak side, and then Stroud booting back out to the field. There's the tight end. You can see that Starks is within, less than a yard of him. Doesn't touch him at all. Why? His eyes are in the backfield the whole time. Everyone is staring in the backfield on this defense on the overwhelming majority of snaps that end up being passing plays. The Texans see. I think NFL offenses are watching the film and cannot believe that they get to play us on a weekly basis. When I say everything is wrong, I mean it. 3rd and 3, this one's going to be difficult to watch clearly. This is the scramble by Stroud. Would have been great to get a stop here. Maybe it's 13-3. We can go down and get a touchdown. 13-10. We know we had struggle on offense. So we're man across the board. Watch how the Ravens are doing this up at the top side. We're literally having to point and show everyone that we're playing man because my guess is during the week with so many rookies on the field, the coaching staff said, okay, we're going to be very declarative about who we have and tell each other verbally, but also point to confirm that everyone is on the same page. Fine, that has to happen at times. I'm surprised that it has to happen at the NFL level. So there's a lot going on here. T-Rob, from a pass rush standpoint, appears to be not rushing at all. It almost looks like there's a little bit of a spy. I wonder about our rush plan, what we're doing, how many of these are hard-coded rushes, but credit to the Texans. They're running a mesh concept with the running back. He's coming through here and running half of the mesh concept, the double drags. And what that ends up doing is Simpson ends up being a -1 for us. So he's down here to the boundary with really nothing to defend because Buchanan has to go with the running back. So let's start here. Buchanan is on the running back who released from the backfield, stepped through, and then Buchanan ends up taking him. Simpson really guarding nobody. I'm not saying Simpson's fault. We're in poor position. Starks and Lowry are playing man and or middle of the field. That's not Starks. I apologize. That's the ref. That's Starks right there. And Stroud scrambles for 30. It's a really difficult play to watch for me because of our lack of aggression with Tavius Robinson, and then essentially, once again, kind of getting outflanked with Simpson guarding nothing down into the boundary. Finally, this one's extremely disappointing and tough to watch and stomach because it's Nate Wiggins who's better than I think he's playing. He's inside leverage by alignment on Nico Collins with Nico Collins' feet outside the hash and Wiggins' feet on the hash. There's the route concept that you're getting. The safety who theoretically could help with anything that breaks to the outside is right here. To me, this looks like man on one to the bottom side with Jair. We're talking about right here. And then just matching or reading the route release of Collins and 13. C.J. Stroud knows exactly where he's going with the football because we had inside leverage, but we gave it up or we forfeited it with Wiggins. From the end zone angle, you'll kind of see what I'm saying. That puts the Texans up 17-3. Here is Wiggins, and Collins is going to be off screen. He's going to run one of these. Watch the way that this works out from a leverage standpoint. Wiggins has inside leverage and forfeits it, even though there's a safety to help to his outside. Now, I don't know the rules that the Ravens have installed, but to me, just watching this team play, it appears as if We don't trust each other to be there, to be where they should be uh, post snap, and we certainly don't trust the coaches. I don't know that there is an answer for this group right now. We appear to be so poorly prepared in training camp that no answers are in the building. I hate to be so negative, but for 2025, I mean, yeah, Roquan comes back, Hamilton comes back, Humphrey comes back, and somehow all of those guys play to the best of their abilities. Yeah, that would change everything. But I just don't know that those things happen. This group doesn't believe in each other. They're not committed. They don't play a committed brand, a connected brand of defense on the field on Sundays. So I don't know how practice looks. And then they come out here and look like this on Sundays. They don't trust each other. I think Wiggins is better than he's playing, but right now I think we can use him as a barometer for what is probably going on during the week um, at practice. And I do want to reflect a little bit on what we heard from so many people in the media, Ravens media, in training camp in the preseason about how great this defense was going to be, and they had all these goals. It seems to me to be sycophantic, and I don't even know if that's a word, meaning let's put these stories out here in a positive light so that we can continue to have as much access as possible and be trusted to put out stories to maintain our job and our position, because to me, none of that was realistic at all. I don't know what I would have said if I got to watch practice or other people would have said, but to me, when non-football people are telling you a bunch of stuff that ends up not being true completely, that means we were fed a line of bullshit. And that's not just from the Ravens media that gets to go there and cover it every day. They do a poor job, in my opinion, of actually telling us what happens in practice. They're probably limited in what they can see, but it's the same dynamic for Harbaugh. It shouldn't surprise me that the guys that are in the building every day and out there on the field for a limited amount of time aren't able to give us an accurate depiction of what they're seeing, because they really don't have a clue what they're talking about. In any case, I hate to be so negative, but I don't see this getting better. Certainly not next week against the Rams, who've got a great system, especially out of 11 personnel. Or if he's there on Sunday, he's going to have to be more declarative. And at some point, you got to take risks and possibly give up big plays in order to maybe make plays. We are sitting back, staring at the quarterback once again for the second year in a row into week 5 and giving up too much space, not reacting to routes at all. People running by us. There's a lack of physicality. You guys, if you watched my content last year, probably heard the same complaints from me, so my apologies. I hope we're not here 1 year from now in 2026 speaking the same language